Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees, and it is time where people are pruning their mango trees, and it's coming towards the end of mango season, and there are still some mangoes left on the trees, and some mangoes are ready to be pruned. And I pruned some of my trees here, and I'm going to talk in another video about the trees I pruned and about pruning trees. However, when you prune trees, you have to make many decisions about what your plan is for the following year. And I have a particular tree here, and this tree was my cherry tree. And I, at one time, loved cherry mangoes, but I kind of lost a taste for it. So I wanted to change it to something else. So I had two choices. I could have removed it or top worked it. Well, I decided I'm going to attempt to top work it. And to do that, what I did is I stripped all of the leaves off the tree, and I cut the tree way back. I left actually some leaves for it. There's a whole process in doing this. This was a pretty big tree, and I waited to new shoots to grow out of it. And with my plan being, when these new shoots grow out of it, I'm going to top work the tree by putting a new variety on it, grafting a new variety on the tree. Now, I wanted to put a particular variety on this tree, and I do not have what's called budwood for the tree. And budwood you get from another tree. So, for example, this here is a lemon meringue tree. If I wanted to put this lemon meringue mango on that cherry tree and change that cherry tree to a lemon meringue mango tree, I would take this budwood, I would clip it here, and I would take it and put it on this tree next to one of these available buds. Let's say maybe right here. And that would grow into a lemon meringue tree. So that's what top working the tree is. So you have to have the budwood, though. You have to get the budwood and know the ideal time to pick it and so on. And Alex at Tropical Acres Farms, one of the world's biggest mango farms, is amazing. And he sells budwood, which is this, on his website, of the over 300 varieties of mangoes that he has. So I called up Alex and I said, Alex, I would like to get budwood for my cherry tree to change it to another tree. In this case, it's an emerald. I want to change that cherry tree to an emerald tree. And my success rate in grafting is maybe 50-50. So if I wanted to change it to a lemon meringue, I'd have a lot more budwood to play around with than that. But I had to get some scions, which they're called, which is another word for the budwood, to change that to an emerald tree. So I went to Alex and I got some. And they only have a certain amount of time a year. Now, anyone that has a mango tree, you can get budwood from any tree. But if you want to get it from Tropical Acres Farms, one of their many varieties, there's only a certain select time throughout the year that they make budwood available. Alex is also very knowledgeable about when to pick it, when the buds are swelling, and he's going to talk about on the video today the best time to get budwood and how it looks, and also the best chances of success. So we're going to be at Tropical Acres Farms today. I'm going to put their information below, and Alex is going to give me budwood for my emerald tree, and he's also going to tell you how he picks his budwood and what to pick. And the order's open right now. So if you want to top work a tree or even add another variety for one of your trees, because you don't just have to top work the complete tree. If I wanted to keep half of this cherry mango tree cherry and just make half of it emerald or something else, I could get budwood and keep it one variety. I know some people that have over 10 varieties on one tree, but you need the budwood to make that happen. And Alex at Tropical Acres has that budwood available. Here's the video now. The link's below to place the order. Check it out. All right, everybody, here we are at Tropical Acres Farms, and this is Alex, and he's going to be talking to us about budwood, because it's budwood season. So, hello, Alex. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. So it's budwood season now, and it's mango season still. We still have mangoes. But we just started about a week or so ago putting budwood requests available on our website. So if you go to tropicalacresfarms.com, if you're interested in grafting at home, or maybe even you have a nursery and you want to graft some different varieties of mangoes that aren't locally available, we have a pretty substantial list of varieties to choose from to request budwood. So the way our process works is there's a portal on our website that you can navigate to, and you can select which varieties you're interested in getting as well as the quantity. And then it's going to charge you a deposit fee that gets applied towards your invoice. So what we do is on Sundays during this time of year, we go out in the field and I check everybody's lists and try to find swelling buds, material with swelling buds. So Paul's getting these scions today. You can see that the buds on these scions are swelling. So we call those active buds. That's what we're looking for when we conduct a Budwood check for you. And anything from your list that we can find that has material like this, we will send you an invoice for, usually late Sunday or on Monday after we've conducted the check. So if you're maybe wanting to ensure that you can get everything on your list, and you're willing to graft with dormant material that does not have those swelling buds, you can send us an email and tell us, and it usually pretty much opens up everything on your list to being available. So if you send us a checklist and you also notify us that you're willing to accept dormant scions, then most of the time we can find everything on your list. We'll look for active buds first before we look for dormant material. Otherwise, if you don't tell us that, then we only looked for material that has active swelling buds on it. We'll sell mango budwood until the end of this month. We're in August now. The last day we'll clip any scions off the trees is the 31st of this month. Probably we'll stop sending invoices that last week of August. So this is a good opportunity to buy mango budwood if you're really keen on certain varieties that you want to add to your collection. We will not sell mango budwood again until April of next year, so it's a pretty long gap between the months that we actually sell mango scions. We sell other material like avocados, Mamey Sapote scions during most of the year, so those will be available beyond the month of August, but right now mango scions are definitely available.
So now why is it this time for the mango scions to August? Are they no good after August?
No, they're certainly good after August. It's more of a labor saving measure on our part. We just want to reduce our workload, and if we don't, we'll continue to receive a lot of budwood checks, and it kind of anchors us to the farm longer than we want to be. So certainly you can graft beyond the month of August. You can probably graft mangoes in Florida into the winter. In fact, with how warm our winters have been, you might have a decent rate of take even in the winter. But for us, this is just something that we do to reduce our workload and be able to relax a little bit. So we will not take any budwood orders after the end of August. No exceptions. It doesn't matter if you beg us. It doesn't matter if you know us. We will not do it. So
now is the summertime normally better, or does it matter any time people...
The warmer months of the year are usually the most successful when it comes to grafting mangoes. So they definitely graft at a very high rate of take, at least for us during this time of the year, for sure.
All right, give us more of an example. Show us this when we say active buds. So there were leaves on here that
there were. So we took the leaves off to avoid desiccation. We always wrap the material in some moist media before we ship it to you. But you can see here this had a panicle here, and now the axillary buds here have swollen up, and this is the stage we like to get them. They can go too far, and then what happens is you can do a graft and they'll push, and then they don't finish the push and they just dry out. So they can also be grafted at the dormant state, but for a lot of amateur grafters, they get a little better results if they graft them at this state. So, and this is typical size. Width on the scions can vary depending on what we're finding on the trees. We do search the trees pretty thoroughly when we conduct a budwood check. So we'll check multiple trees. We have around 1,000 trees on this property, plus some trees on another property. So it's a lot of stuff that gets checked, and that's why we have to devote basically a whole day to doing the budwood checks. And it's not something we can do on a regular basis. We just do it on Sundays during the budwood check period.
So the length of that, show us the length of that, and that's what how you like to do it, but does it really matter wherever you put it on the tree? Does it matter?
No, I mean, and sometimes because of the way it's growing, we'll clip the scion shorter than this. It doesn't matter a whole lot as long as there's enough room to make a cut. But normally they're around anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of length, sometimes 7 inches, but not typically longer than that. So,
Okay. Can you show it? I know. So is the tree, like if there's mangoes on the trees, can you still get budwood?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, some of the trees that we're clipping budwood from still have fruit on them. Now, when the fruit have come off, usually the tree is ready to push a growth flush, and then we might find more material on the tree in that case when the fruit is actually off the tree or if it's been recently pruned. A lot of trees right now are going through their post-crop growth flushes, so we're finding plenty of good material. But once they've done that growth flush, there's a lot of dormant, fresh material on the trees, and that can actually make it challenging to find good budwood on, or at least budwood that's active, with swelling buds.
Could you show us an example on one of your trees of a active swollen, but
Sure.
on the tree with the
Yeah.
leaves?
We'll walk over here. This is an orange sherbet mango, and it might have 1 or 2 fruit left on it somewhere in the canopy, but I'm not looking at the moment. But right here we've got a stem that's got some swelling axillary buds now. So you see right here and right here. So
No, let's get close to here. Hold on. So move that one so we're not confused. Okay. So here we are. So the swollen buds coming out right there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's 1. There's 2. Got you.
Yeah. So really, you only need 1. You don't necessarily need.
And
one either.
you're cutting the leaves off here, but the buds you don't cut. Leave
Correct.
them alone.
We leave that bud alone. We want it to push out, and when we're checking, we just want to find 1 swelling bud for the check. But sometimes there'll be multiple on the scion. Just depends on the state of the tree that we're checking. So anyway, we'll check the tree over. Anything that's within reaching distance, we can harvest the material from. We're not going to take a ladder out necessarily, or the pruning machine or something to reach budwood, but whatever I can reach at ground level is fair game. So
Now, some people have said you can prepare it, like cut the leaves off while it's still on there. Does that help at all?
You can definitely do that, or you can just, the act of pruning the tree will usually activate the buds too. But yeah, you can strip the leaves off to try to activate the buds at the top of the stem. We do not prepare budwood here. The only thing that we do to our trees that will activate the buds is pruning them. Okay, so that's a process that we'll do every single year, but for a specific budwood order, we will not go out and prep the scions. So that's one thing I need to emphasize. So don't request that from us because we won't be doing it. But you can do it at home if you're trying to activate the buds on your own tree. You absolutely can practice that.
Does it help or make a difference, or it just gives you more buds?
It's just to get swelling buds on a stem if that's what you're trying to accomplish.
How many times a year would a tree like this have swollen buds?
Usually at least several, because it's going to go through several growth flushes a year. Now some trees will only flush growth once or twice or something like that, but so it is a little varietal dependent, and it's also a little dependent on how much water and fertilizer the tree's receiving. And maybe how much rainfall you're receiving too, and how much it's been pruned. But so there's a few factors, but usually it's going to happen multiple times a year.
Does it matter how big or small, or what color the branch hair is when you're cutting the budwood?
I mean, we try to avoid stuff that's super thick, but typically it's going to be somewhere, and we don't want to collect stuff that's super thin either. We're not going to collect something that's like this panicle here. You see, that's thinner than we're ever usually going to collect. It usually needs to be a little thicker than that. But color, the mangoes here get kind of a benevolent mold on them, which you can see here. That doesn't really interfere with rate of take, but sometimes amateurs are alarmed to see that. It's very common here, but it's not something that's going to like ruin your grafts.
So green or black is fine?
Yeah, assuming that the black is not from bacterial spot or anthracnose infection. Yeah, a benevolent mold's not going to do anything to your rate of take on your grafts.
So you said inactive. So if you take something like this that doesn't have the active buds and you cut this and cut the leaves, is this still something that can possibly work? It just reduces the chances?
Yeah, it can still be used. We graft with dormant material all the time. And people that are relatively skilled at grafting do it. We have people that order them dormant pretty frequently. So just for the sake of getting everything on their list, you can. It just might require more practice and skill on the part of the individual grafter. We certainly don't guarantee that your grafts are going to take. You know, that's up to the skill of the individual.
And one more question. Once the grafts are on there, how important is it, because I know some people do this and not, to keep it covered or not once you put the new grafts on? Like some people try to keep the sun out.
When I top work a tree, I usually don't concern myself with that. There's some argument to be made that you should try to protect them from overheating if they're in plastic or a bag or something like that. But I've had pretty good success grafting them out in the open too. It might depend on your locale. In hotter areas like Southern California or something like that, or Arizona, it might be a much greater necessity to cover those grafts with some kind of material to cool them down and keep them from overheating, so keep them from baking.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to put the link below if you want to get some of this Budwood and try new varieties. And do you recommend people having more than one variety on a tree, or usually not?
It depends. Due to space constraints, it's a lot of people's only option. So if that's the case, just do your best to try to pair the vigor of the varieties. Put a low vigor one with a low vigor one, a dwarf with a dwarf, a high vigor with a high vigor.
And does season matter when you're multi-grafting?
No, not really.
So is it better to have one with like one graft early, one graft middle?
For the sake of extending your season, it makes sense to me. But some people are more concerned about just getting certain varieties, and the season's length isn't as important.
So. Well, thank you very much for showing us this.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody, that was Alex at Tropical Acres talking about the Budwood that he has available, which is pretty amazing. And I'm going to give you this example here. This here was a Duncan tree, and I didn't prefer Duncan mango, which actually I like now. But I took Budwood from my Sunrise mango tree, and I top worked this tree in certain areas. So some of these branches are now Sunrise branches, and some of these branches are Duncan branches. So I have two varieties on this tree. My ultimate goal was to eliminate the Duncan and have all Sunrise, but now I decide I want to keep some of the Duncan. So they're both bigger growing trees, so I think it'll be okay. That's a whole nother topic. But there's ways to make a tree more than one variety. It's called a cocktail tree, but you still need that Budwood. So thank you, Alex from Tropical Acres, for making that Budwood available to us. Again, he only has it a select time throughout the year, and now is the time. So if you're watching this and you want to get Budwood and to experiment with top working, contact him below and order your Budwood or your Zion or whatever you want to call it. But that's what I did. For those of you that are new to this, you can put a mango on a mango. You can't put a mango on a jackfruit, just so you know that, if some of you have that question. All right, so I hope that was helpful. And thank you again, Alex, for making that available. And have fun, everybody, with those trees. Have a great day, everybody, and keep growing.